All right, let's get into it. The 2021 recruiting haul for Texas A&M. Texas A&M, of course, finished the 2020 season strong, just barely missing out on the college football playoff. Now, they've made a huge splash in the 2021 recruiting cycle. I think several outlets have them rated in the top 10. 24/7 Sports, ESPN both have them at number 7 in the nation. Another strong recruiting haul for Jimbo Fisher. What I like about this recruiting class, it is very heavy in places of need for Jimbo Fisher. He is losing out 4 of his 5 starting offensive linemen this year. They're all going to the NFL. No doubt they're going to all have great success. That offensive line was beastly for the Aggies in 2020, as evidenced in the run game, anchored by Isaiah Spiller and Ainias Smith. So they came in, A&M did, and just cleaned up when it came to offensive linemen. They ended up with Bryce Foster, offensive guard, 5th in the nation, 4-star recruit according to 24/7 Sports, and Reuben Fothery, a 6'8", 305-pound offensive lineman. No doubt both of those guys could come in and compete. Fothery could come right in and step right in and end up winning the potential right tackle job left by Carson Green. Bryce Foster definitely has a chance to compete. I'm not sure who I like better in those, who's got a better shot. I think they both equally have a great shot. As far as the center goes, that one's going to be a little bit harder to tell. A&M did pick up a pretty decent center in this out of this group. See, where is he? Remington Strickland, 6'4", 295 pounds, out of Sugar Land, Texas, Fort Bend Christian Academy. I'm not sure if he has a chance to start right up front. He did play at Fort Bend Christian Academy, so that level of competition does concern me a little bit, but no doubt. I think I definitely think that he'll be in the mix at some point in his career. Remember, A&M does have Luke Matthews, yes, of the prestigious, offensive line royalty family known as the Matthews family. His older brother Jake, of course, playing with the Falcons in the NFL. So let's go into it. Like I said, offensive line was very, very heavy. Those were some of the highlights there. I do like what they did on the defensive side of the ball as well. They had 2 big-time defensive end recruits, Shamar Turner and Tamiz Adelaide. Shamar Turner, 6'3", 280 pounds. How does this work at A&M once he gets there? Does he beef up a little bit, get over 300 pounds, and they kind of use him as that hybrid outside, inside threat? Time will tell. I definitely think, we already have a pretty decent rotation at defensive end. So, Shamar Turner definitely being the stud of this class, the only 5-star recruit for A&M. He might have the best chance at getting into the mix. Adelaide, I do like this kid out of Katy, Texas. Played very stiff competition and just looked like an absolute stud out there. He comes in 6'3", 250 pounds. So I do like what both of those guys bring to the table. Then just recently on Wednesday, you had L.J. Johnson out of Cy-Fair High School in Cypress, Texas. He made his announcement. It really came down to the wire for him. I know the Longhorns were making a big push for him, but A&M came in had kind of consistently been there the whole time. I shouldn't say that they came in. They were there consistently the whole time and kind of the front runner from the get-go for this kid. LJ Johnson, does he have a chance at playing his freshman year? I just don't see it. I don't see it, and here's why. I've already said at the beginning of this podcast that we had a monster season rushing the ball this year. Of course, we've got the Swiss Army knife, Ainias Smith. He runs the ball. They line him up in the slot. He gets touches. Then you also had, incoming freshman last year, Devin Achane, who performed very, very well. I would definitely say that he exceeded a lot of people's expectations in that aspect. It's just, Isaiah Spiller, God, monster year. He had 1,083 yards rushing and 9 touchdowns and just looked like an absolute stud. Spiller and Ainias Smith are both coming into their junior season. Barring injury, I expect both of those guys to be NFL level talent, come the 2022 draft. Devin Achane, was the second leading rusher. He came in 43 rushes, 336 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He came in relief and when the score was run up, but definitely like what I saw from him. He, averaged 8.5 yards a carry. Sometimes those were junk yards at the end of the game, but his vision, his quickness, that quick twitch. I can't even say it. Let's go ahead and cut that out. We'll go back to it and say he has those quick twitch hips that you look for, that A&M looks for in running backs. That really fits the Jimbo Fisher system. So let's go back. LJ Johnson, who is very much a downhill runner, not really that agile runner, quick change in direction type runner. He very fast straight line speed. He ran a verified 4.42. Let's redo that one again. He ran a 4.42 verified 40-yard dash. That is blazing fast for a senior in high school. I only expect him to get better. I believe that Tommy Robinson, the running backs coach for A&M, can definitely work with this kid, and he will be an absolute stud for A&M. I would like to see him work on getting his hips a little bit lower in his jump cuts and that change of direction. But as far as straight line speed, he's got it. He's got great vision for a running back, and he can stiff arm and put defenders down on the ground. Wide receiver, A&M didn't really sign many. Shadrach Banks, who is listed as an athlete, could play some wide receiver. Drayden Norwood, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I would say that the 2019 haul, or the 2020 haul for A&M, their wide receiver group with Damon Davis and Muhsin Muhammad III, son of Panthers great Muhsin Muhammad. Both of those guys didn't really get an opportunity. I think I saw number 1 Demas out there a couple of times, but he never registered a stat. I expect big things out of him. Demas, he did not play his senior year of high school, remember, because he transferred, and the UIL determined that he was ineligible because he moved for football reasons. Whether or not that's the case, it's in the past. He didn't get to play a senior year in high school, so I'm sure that had an effect on the amount of time he was on the field for A&M as a freshman. As far as the starting wide receivers, I wasn't too crazy about what I saw. But again, A&M was very run heavy, control the clock type of offense, and that suited them. And the only stumble that we had was against Alabama, who the eventual national champions, and we faced them earlier in the season. We definitely got better every week. I saw improvements in certain aspects, and a lot of the scores of these games later in the season seemed a little bit close, but A&M's just dominance on the offensive line and ability to stop people on defense was just a very masterful sight, and if you're looking for somebody that is a proponent of having a 6-team playoff, I'm definitely on board for that. Not just because Texas A&M missed out, but I believe in getting more college football. I really believe in getting more college football. 8-team, would I be opposed to that? No, I wouldn't be opposed to that either, but I think moving up to 6 is the logical move right now. It gives a chance at somebody that may have lost in one of the power conferences, may have lost in their conference game, conference championship game, or somebody with a great record, like A&M this year that had a great record, only had one loss to the eventual national champion, wasn't invited because they're in the same part of the division of the SEC, so didn't get to go to a championship game. So that, and then one of the small schools, you got teams like BYU. A couple of years ago, you had Boise State several years ago that upset Oklahoma in a bowl game. They could have been, if we had the playoff back then, like that would have been an at-large team that I would have definitely lobbied for to be in the playoff game. So, all right, let's circle back. Don't want to get too off track because we definitely want to get at least be able to review all of these guys that A&M signed. Kendall Daniels, number 8 safety out of Beggs, Oklahoma. He was probably the best player in Oklahoma, and there's only we've got Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. Oklahoma being bar none the class of the state of Oklahoma. For them to lose out on the best recruit in the state it kind of speaks volumes right now. I don't know if it's a state of disarray for Oklahoma or if Kendall Daniels just grew up being an Aggie fan. Only he can tell us that, but excited to see what he could do. A&M's had a great track record with safeties in recent memory. We've got Donovan Wilson playing for the Cowboys. We've got Armani Watts, who's playing in the Super Bowl this Sunday for the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe you got Justin Evans over in Tampa Bay, who's also playing in the Super Bowl. Plays for Tampa Bay, and they're playing in the Super Bowl this week as well. All of those guys have had great production. You've got Damani Richardson on the Aggies currently that it looks to me like a future NFL player. So I would probably, if gun to my head today, I would put Damani Richardson easily a second or third round draft pick with potential to be a late first round draft pick in the near future. He absolutely looks the part. And for somebody like Daniels to come in and learn from guys like that in the room, and Leon O'Neal, who was a senior, who announced that he's coming back for another year because of the COVID allowance to allow seniors one more year of eligibility. Leon O'Neal gets to have another year at A&M, another person to learn from for Kendall Daniels. So great room in that safety room for him to learn from, and whether we see Damani Richard move on sooner rather than later, definitely one more year for Leon O'Neal. Kendall Daniels could be that next that next person in line. I definitely see him not redshirting this year. I definitely see him as potentially a rotational guy in certain safety situations. Moving down the list, you got a couple more defensive ends. Elijah Jeudy, Marcus Burris. Really like what I saw from Elijah Jeudy. Really high on this guy. I don't think he's getting the respect that he deserves. He's out of Northeast High School in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, so he is making a long trip down to College Station. But everything that I saw in film from him, I certainly liked, and definitely think he's one of the more redshirt definitely think that he's going to be a redshirt option for the Aggies. Marcus Burris as well. I wouldn't expect either of these guys to play too much as freshmen. So next down the list, our big time quarterback recruit, Eli Stowers, number 5 quarterback from Denton, Texas, Guyer High School. Shout out to Denton, Texas. I went to Calhoun Middle School in Denton, and then moved to Lake Dallas High School whenever it was time for me to be a freshman. But I was slated to be in Denton. Grew up in that area for several years. So shout out to my people in Denton, Texas. So we've got Zach Calzada and Haynes King waiting in the wings. Zach Calzada got to play a little bit in relief of Mond for the 2019 season. Looked phenomenal. Has a rocket of an arm. And then you've got Haynes King, a dual threat quarterback who got to play got to see a decent amount of time here in this 2020 season. King played in 2 games. Mostly junk time. He had 1 interception and 1 touchdown, and where is it? Threw for 59 yards, 2 for 4. So you got to see a little bit of time, just get a feel for the game. Who wins that quarterback battle? I would say right now, my favorite would be Calzada to win the job. But definitely King, and even somebody like Stowers could come in and really wow everybody in camp. And the quarterback position is definitely up in the air, I would say, at this point for A&M. We'll see where it goes. I do like Calzada as the favorite, though. I think if I were putting money on it, Calzada is definitely going to be the starter. So moving down the line, we've got another safety, Jaron Gilbert. Talk about him from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Another one that was considering, several schools were in the mix for this guy. LSU being one of them. So another big victory for the Aggies of stealing somebody out of state from a state that has a powerhouse school. I mean, LSU, 2 years ago removed, won a national title, and they lose out on one of the best safeties in the state, and to go along with the Oklahoma, Oklahoma losing out on a guy. Let's move down here. You got Matthew Wyckoff from Magnolia High School in Magnolia, Texas. Another offensive lineman, 6'5", 300 pounds. Already, it surprises me so much that we've got so many kids coming out of high school already over that 300-pound frame. 300-pound is, whenever I played football in high school, 300 pounds was what you were trying to get to in college to make it to the NFL. Now these kids are coming out in high school already at that level, already built up that frame. It just speaks to how good and how much development is there at the high school level, as opposed to, when I was in high school from 98 to 2002. So we're talking 20 years difference in how these kids are developing. We did sign a cornerback, Tyreek Chappell, number 38th quarterback, according to ESPN. Another guy out of Philadelphia, 5'11", 175 pounds. Definitely going to need to put on a little bit of weight playing quarterback position. Very physical with wide receivers in the SEC. So I would like to see him sit for a little bit before we can get him on the field, get him in the weight room, and really develop. He has a lot of potential. He had some big-time offers. He had Miami coming after him. He had Michigan coming after him, Michigan State, Tennessee. Had some SEC teams, had some Big 12 teams in Baylor and Iowa State that were really lobbying for him, and Arizona State really lobbying for him too. But he ultimately chose the Aggies, and might be one of those guys that you hear a lot about come his sophomore, junior, senior seasons. All right, and another big announcement that we had was Australian offensive tackle Jordan Mako. I don't know if it's Mako or Mako, but he was the number one offensive tackle for junior college. So he brings a little bit of experience. He brings a little bit more of maturity to the offensive line room, that rather than all these freshmen coming in. Freshmen, no offense, guys, but being a freshman, being 18 years old, fresh out of high school, not always making the best decisions, not always got the forgot what I was going to say. Not always got the strongest maturity for those guys. All right. Really excited to see what happens with him. And then we've got just announced today that Jameer Johnson, a graduate transfer from the University of Tennessee, 6'5", 300 pounds. He's coming over from Tennessee to A&M. Another one, I wouldn't pencil him in completely as the starter at either tackle position. I would look at him more as a candidate for right tackle or even a swing tackle. But I like him. Graduate transfer coming in, adds a little bit more leadership to the room where four of the five offensive linemen are going to the NFL or have declared for the NFL. Left tackle, I would definitely say Chris Morris would have that left tackle position locked up. He highly touted recruit, and I think he succeeds Dan Moore very, very well for the left tackle. Kenyon Green, of course, he was sophomore last year. He's coming in as a junior, another highly touted recruit. He's entrenched at that guard position. Center, again, I'm really thinking Luke Matthews is probably the one to pencil in right there. Right guard is where I believe you've got Layden Robinson who's going to be back this year. Akinola Ogunbaye, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name. Forgive me, I'm awful with names. So Akinola, definitely in the mix there. And then with our freshman guard Bryce Foster coming in, I like the competition at right guard. Let's have them all fight it out, and hopefully in the maroon and white game we can see one of those two, cream rising to the top. Bryce won't be on campus yet, but maybe fall practice comes around and he comes in and really shows something as well. So I really like the depth that we would have, even with losing even with losing Carson Green, we still got Kenyon Green, and I don't forget about Josh Bankhead over there. He was listed on the depth chart behind Kenyon Green, but he could definitely move over to right guard and be in the mix to have a starting job as well. So don't forget about him. Right tackle is the one that's really that's the one to me that's the most undecided of the group. Who steps up? Is it Blake Traynor that steps up? Is it one of these offensive linemen that we've got brought in? Fathery, a big time offensive tackle recruit. Does he step right in as a freshman and bring it? We'll find out. Tight end group, of course, Jalen Weidermeyer, who's just been an absolute stud, and really, I don't think he's getting the proper respect that he deserves, because Weidermeyer came in the same class as Baylor Cupp, and Baylor Cupp was, he was the tight end, that everybody was talking about, and unfortunately he's been injured the past 2 seasons, and I guess unfortunately, but fortunately for Jalen Weidermeyer, it's put him into that role to be the guy, and he has not disappointed. Ryan Rennick, backup tight end. Then you got Max Wright, who originally came to A&M as a defensive end. He's switched over to tight end, and he'll be there. Baylor Cupp, hopefully he heals up and comes in. I think our tight ends are. I think we've got the cream of the crop as far as the SEC goes when it comes to tight ends. Wide receiver, again, not crazy about what I saw from them. Definitely your number one option is Ainias Smith. We'll do Ainias Smith as the number one option in the passing game. We'll put Jalen Weidermeyer as 1A. Those two guys right there. Actually, Weidermeyer had more catches than Ainias Smith by 3. They both had 6 touchdowns. Both had over 500 yards receiving. Chase Lane, is the second one. He had 29 catches for 409 yards and 2 touchdowns. Caleb Chapman looked phenomenal. In only 3 games, had 14 catches, 195 yards, 197 yards and 3 touchdowns. Chapman looked great before he went out with the season-ending injury. Hezekiah Jones played 6 games, had 18 receptions, 178 yards. I was really disappointed, and not to beat one of these kids down, I was really disappointed. I was really high on Hezekiah whenever he came to A&M. I thought he was going to be that next great receiver after you had the likes of Christian Kirk and Mike Evans at Tampa Bay. Shout out to Mike Evans playing in the Super Bowl this Sunday as well. I thought he was going to be that next great A&M wide receiver, and it just hasn't been in his favor. Jalen Preston and Cam Brown. Preston played all 10 games, only had 7 receptions, no touchdowns. Cam Brown played 6 games, came in 5 catches. There just wasn't a lot to go off of and to see here. So I would say that every wide receiver position is probably up for grabs, except for whatever you decide to do with Ainias Smith. Whether you want to give more of the load back to, back to your other running back in Isaiah Spiller and the emergence of Devin Achane, and let them handle it running and get Ainias Smith purely into a slot receiver just line him up at slot receiver all season. I think he could still do some interesting things to get the ball in his hands. There's wide receiver reverses. There's a lot of motion him into line up in an empty set, motion him into the backfield. We saw that a few times. But I would say, Chase Lane and Chase Lane is probably going to be that starter, number 2 wide receiver. Definitely up in the air. So 2021 looks good for A&M. I really like this class coming in. I think there are some pieces that can come in immediately to play for A&M. And then we've got plenty of people that can sit because we recruited very well for positions that we already have established depth. So there's not a big rush. And with the transfer portal, you have seen a lot of movement. So, I mean, certainly some of these kids could come in and decide, hey, I'm not getting the opportunities that I thought I was going to get. So I'm going to take my talents elsewhere, as famously as LeBron said. I'm going to take my talent somewhere else. But I really think that with what we have at A&M, definitely gives the opportunity. There's opportunity for competition, and expect big things from them in 2021. Let's go. Will this class be the class that finally gets A&M to that national title picture? Will it be the one that gets them into the playoff? Only time will tell, folks.